Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Leanne. I'm a Pilates and yoga teacher, online coach and personal trainer. Information to work with me is in the description. Today I'm going to be taking you through a Pilates class of 45 minutes targeting shoulder strength, triceps, so the back of the arm toning, and there's some spinal flexibility and strength in there as well. Have a great class. Predominantly working the upper today. So inhale, arms rise, big stretch. Exhale as they fall. Shoulders down, away from ears even when they come up. Chest proud, rib cage in, belly button into spine. Exhale as the arms come down. Let's get the oxygen in. Inhale, arms rise. Fill in the lungs. Inhale through the nose. One more. Going into trunk rotations. So hips face forward and you're coming round as far round as feels comfortable. This is quite an unusual movement that we do in everyday life. We tend to injure ourselves during this plane of movement, the transverse plane. So it's good to stay mobile, enjoying and feeling, leaning into a nice stretch, trying to keep them hips faced forwards. And part of Pilates is it brings education to the body and how one side might feel a little bit different, tighter or looser. And you can start to work on these things and do your own rehab, keeping the elbows shoulder height. Exhale as you move around. Inhale as you return to center. Two more. Keep leaning in. One more. Good. Coming into cat-cow position. So for the cat-cow, because there's a few newbies, knees directly under the hips. Palms should be directly under the shoulders, but if you start to feel it in your wrists, just move them a little bit further forward. Spine to sky. So relaxing the neck, that's your cat. Inhale. In the cow, looking up to the ceiling and pushing your belly to the floor, and you feel a stretch in the front and back as you move through the cat-cow. So inhale in the cat, feeling the tension in your back. Exhale, so it's a movement with the pelvis, forwards and backwards. So take note of any stiffness. And start with a small range of movement until you begin to mobilize, and you can get further in there. Exhale. And then we're just going to look at either hip as we move left and right, like we've got a tail, nice and controlled, opening the space between the rib cage and the hip on either side, leaning into that stretch. Do you feel tighter on one side than the other? Good. And coming into a seated position. Any seated position that feels comfortable for you. I want you to untuck your pelvis and sit tall, shoulders down away from ears. I want to start to bring in some shoulder strengthening exercises. So arms out to the side. So we have done these before a wee while ago. So remember, shoulders back and down, small circles. Pushing the knees down if you're seated in the perfect pose. Deep breaths. I'm going to pulse back. So when you're pulsing back, rather than just thinking about your shoulders, think about your shoulder blades touching each other at the back. This is working on posture. So really push, because you could literally do this exercise without using your shoulder blades at all. But at the back, they're touching each other, or you're squeezing a P in between them. 5, 4, 3, 2, and forward circles. So you should start to feel a warm sensation in the shoulders. Keep sitting tall. It is difficult at first, but keep correcting your posture and it will get easier. And these muscles will switch on, and keep it that way. 3, 2, 1, and back. Shoulder blades touching each other. Deep breaths, trying to ignore that discomfort. It might be a burning now. It's good. Just strengthening. And then over to the front, I'm going to start with a little paddle with the arms. Again, don't round the shoulders, bring them back. Shoulder blades are touching each other. Sitting tall. Good, and from here, I'm going to come out to the back and forward for 10. Burnie, burnie. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, and rest. So roll the shoulders out. Good. And whilst we're here, because the shoulders work the upper trapezius, so you can get quite tight. And if, like with our pillows and we're sleeping in the same position, our neck can get quite tight. The sternocleidomastoid, the thick muscle at either side, we're going to strengthen that shortly. But if we just bring our head to one side, and if that feels okay, I'm going to extend the opposite arm. And if you flex and stretch your wrist, and you can pulse up ever so slightly, you can increase that stretch a little bit, kind of like you're taking off. That's it. Just relax. Deep breath in. You might want to rock ever so gently forwards and backwards. Inhale, back to center. Let's go to the other side. Let's see how that feels. If anything doesn't feel right, you don't need to progress it and you can come out at any point. Shoulders down, extending the other arm, flex and point, and then bring in a little pulse. There's a nerve that goes from the wrist all the way up to the neck. You're flossing, as they say. Just loosening things off. One more. Good, back to center. Feel free to grab a drink. I'm going to do another set of those exercises. So shoulder strengthening again. Shoulders back, chest proud, arms out to the side. Small circles. Looking for about 15 to 20. So you're teaching here for the posture to remain stable and in correct posture whilst your arms are out to the side doing things. You're getting used to how it feels for your back to be in this position. Keep sitting tall, brace the core. 3, 2, 1, and back. 15. Again, lead with them shoulder blades, have them touch each other. Deep breaths. Good. 3, 2, 1, and small circles forwards. Trying to ignore that burn as long as you can. Good. Every time it gets too much, rest a few seconds, wait for that burning to stop, then straight back into it. This is how you build endurance and muscular fitness in these areas. And over to the front. Oh, sorry, back. Deep breaths. Again, get the shoulder blades involved, chest proud, pump them shoulder blades. Burnie, burnie. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well done. Over to the front. So we're using the anterior, so shoulders back, front of the shoulder now being used. Again, correct posture. 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 2, 1. And then we've come out to the side and forward. Good. 15 if you can. 5. Deep breaths. Oxygen to those working muscles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm certainly warm now. They asked me if I wanted to put the heating on. I says no, I'll warm them up, don't worry. Okay, back over to the cat-cow. See if there's any changes. So spine to ceiling. So because you've been in a seated position like that, sitting tall, you might feel a bit of tension being released as you work through the cat-cow now. It's a nice stretch. Exhale in the cat, spine to ceiling, bracing the abs. Inhale, relax the abs and have tension in the lower back. You're bringing the curve in both sides for spinal flexibility. So we've worked our shoulders. I'm going to come into the downward dog next. So tucking the toes under, send the hips up to the sky. I'm going to paddle them feet out. Good bend in the knee. Better bend in the knee if you're feeling this on your lower back. Relax the neck, looking at the toes. And I want you to untuck the pelvis so it's shooting up to the sky. So you might feel this in your shoulders again, because this is shoulders are used to support the down dog. And from here, back into the box, we'll come bring our wrists forward a little bit further into push-ups. So we're going to target the back of the triceps and the front of the shoulder again. I want you to go down as far as you're able to. We're going to bring in a dip. So the hips stay up. It's just your chest that's coming down. So to work the back of the arm and to strengthen, you want to keep your elbows tucked in. So they're facing the back of the room or behind you. We're going for 10 to 12. So if you can't have your elbows on the mat, just come down as far as what you're able to. And over time, you'll build the strength that's needed to come all the way down. These are called forearm taps, actually. I learnt that a couple of weeks ago, forearm taps. They're really effective for toning the back of the arm. Another 10 if you can. So if it's more like a cramping or a pinching, not as much as a burn like the shoulders was. So if you're working it well, you're searching for that crampy feeling. That's good. So inhale on the rise, exhale on the down. 2 more. 1 more. Good. And then one of my new favourites, puppy pose. So we're keeping the thighs like this, but our arms are going to extend over our head. So you're trying to get your biceps to your ears, and you're looking for a back bend. And this is really good for posture. You know, parent posture, breastfeeding, holding the children, our shoulders tend to round. So this is what this is helping with. Deep breath. You'll feel a stretch under the armpit. And if you want to go further with this, keep shooting your hips up to the sky, and you can hold hands with yourself and bend the elbow for a stretch in the back of the arm, the tricep. Deep breaths, forehead to the mat. I've seen some yoga teachers and they've got the chest on the floor. It's insane. But one can dream. Deep breaths. Every deep breath, I want you to try and relax and allow your back to curve in the mid area. Good. Carefully coming back into a cat-cow, just to counteract that movement. So start off small. Notice any stiffness, or does that feel okay? Take your time until you remobilize. It's a bit like a reset. Good. Feel free to grab a drink. And we're going on to round 2 next. So we'll be starting in the down dog. Just for a laugh, really, because our shoulders and triceps may be feeling it. Paddling them heels out, enjoying the stretch and the calves, sending your hips up to the ceiling. All the stretch sensations are good. Try and lean into them if you feel that you're able to. Some weeks will feel good and others you'll not be able to. Okay, good. Back into the box. Arms forward for the forearm taps again. Inhale on the rise, exhale on the fall. So it only starts counting, like building muscle and strength, when you're getting that cramping at the back of your arm. That's how you know it's working. If you're feeling it too much on your elbow, don't come down as far. That's the tendon. You're just not ready yet, that's all. if it's quite intense around the elbow area, because you will feel it around the elbows anyway, a little bit. Good. Another 5, 4. Good. Deep breath. One more. Good. Puppy pose when you finish last rep. Arms extended. Forehead to the mat. Deep breaths. Inhale. And on the exhale, I want you to make a little noise like you're breathing on a mirror, trying to steam it up. So inhale. Completely emptying them lungs. And bend at the elbow, interlacing the hands for a stretch. A nice stretch on the triceps. So every time you inhale, it'll push you out of the stretch ever so slightly. Then the next exhale, as you're forcing that oxygen out of your lungs, you'll go a little bit deeper into the stretch. One more big deep breath in. Good. Back into a cat-cow for a reset. Good. I'm going to do that once more. So toning and strengthening the arms works well with volume. So lots of reps, lots of sets. Doesn't have to be overly complicated. Into a down dog as we paddle them feet out. You're able to go a little bit deeper, maybe less of a bend in the knee now. How does it feel in comparison to your first set? Good. Back into box, bringing our wrists further away from our shoulders into forearm taps. Looking for about 15 or as many as you can without cramping. If you need to shake off and back into it, that's absolutely fine, as long as you get the desired reps in the end. Exhale, coming down. Good. We're bending at the elbow. Good. Three, 2, 1. Puppy pose. Hips up to the sky. Interlace the hands and bend at the elbow for that stretch. And deep breaths like you're fogging a mirror on the exhale. Two more. Excellent. Making your way over to a cat-cow for a reset. If you're feeling stiff at first, reduce the range of movement, but just do something, and over time you'll become less stiff. And you've finished your last cat-cow. There's a water break before we begin more shoulder. Next, we're going to make our way over to the box position. Arm will come up to head height, arm to the side, shoulder height, and back down. And when you're doing this, I want you to think about that shoulder blade, incorporate it, make sure it's just not your shoulder that's moving, shoulder blade's moving right back, that's what's in charge of your posture. All the way up as far up as you can. And have a look. You're coming up as high as what you think you are. So this is going to help with mind muscle connection. Looking for 10 to 12. And you'll feel this in your stabilizing arm as well. lightly. 2 more. Good. Try and brace that core. 1 more. Good. And the same arm, I'm going to thread the needle. So good bend in the elbow. I'll show you from the other side. That's it. And then you're going to come all the way around, follow the gaze round, pushing away using the floor. Looking for 10. Take your time until you get used to this movement. Another 5. Enjoying the stretch either way. How does it feel on the other arm? How far around can you go? Because you can compare this side to the other side. It's a great chest opener, this. 1 more. And then on the last one, you're going to hold that thread, the needle, arm extends. Make sure your chest isn't collapsing into the floor. And if that feels okay, you can tuck that arm either in your back pocket or in between your thighs. So I'm told. Deep breath. One more big deep breath. Good. I'm going to do that on the other side. Starting with the 12 forward to side and down. Breathing throughout. And can you connect to your core? How does your core feel right now when you try and brace it? Can you feel like you've tensed up in the upper and the lower core? Last 5. Think about that shoulder blade, bringing it close to the spine. And if any of these things that I'm saying don't make sense, just let me know. Because sometimes you need to be told in different ways before it clicks. It's just, everyone's different. 1 more. Good. Into thread the needle. So it'll feel quite strange to go into the other side now. So take your time. Maybe don't go as far round until you get used to it. Mobilize. Following your gaze with your hand. Shoulders down away from ears. Exhale as you're threading that needle. Inhale on the rotation. Looking for 10. Another 2. 1. Good. And then on your last rep, when you're ready, just thread that needle, arm over your head. Relax. Settle in. And if that feels okay, arm round the back of the side. Making sure your chest isn't collapsing into the floor. Deep breaths. Good. I'm going to move on to the sides next. So when we work in a side plank dip, we are strengthening the shoulder girdle. So because we've already isolated the shoulder girdle and then we're asking for it to be in this position, you might get a little burn. Just come out, shake off and back into it. It's usually me that feels it the most, to be honest. Push your hips forward, elbow directly under your shoulder. I'm just going to lift your hips up off the floor. If you go a little bit higher than parallel and bring in a little curve in the side, so you're strengthening the obliques, the sides of the stomach, and also very deep back muscle called the QL that assists in keeping you upright. It's really important and it's a cause of a lot of back pain. Inhale and exhale as you come back down. And any tightness around the hips, we're going to work them out as well. We're looking for 10 to 12. Just make sure your hips stay forward, pushing them. Another 3. And then on the last rep, you can either release or you can hold for 10, 9. Feel the tension in the side of the core. That's where you're wanting to work. Make sure you're placing it in there with a curve. 3, 2, 1, and release. Well done. Bottom knee comes forward, top knee back. Inhale, arm rises to the side that we've just worked. And exhale. And because we're on our sides as well, we're working and strengthening the sides of our neck. Pushing far over as you can, and your arm ideally will be over your head. Trying to keep it back as far as you can. If you want to make it a bit more challenging or more intense, look at your thumb. Good. We want to stay on the same side and do that again. Another 10. Or if you're not ready for that yet, you can swap over and do the other side whilst the other side has a rest. It's totally up to you. Let's go again, another 10. Or as many as you can. Even 6 if you've not done these before are quite challenging. And you finish the last rep, release or hold. Deep breaths. 6, 3, 2, 1, release. Good. Let's stretch out the side again. If you are doing the same side, let's see if we can go a little bit further over this time. Knee pushed down into the ground. Arm over your head and look at your thumb if you can. Shoulders down. You're looking for a stretch here. Excellent. Feel free to grab a drink. So move over to the other side. Okay. Let's see how we get on. So usually we subconsciously choose our stronger side to start. So if this is your weaker side, just be patient with it. As long as you get the same reps as you did on the first side, you'll work out imbalances. Push your hips forward. Let's begin. Looking for 10 reps. And if you've not done these before, this is usually the one that you feel the next day. Bringing in a curve on the side. 6, and coming all the way down. Good. And your last rep, release or hold. 10. Bringing that curve, holding that curve. Let it burn, let it ache. 5, 4, 2, 1. Release. Well done. Let's see how the tightness is on this side. Inhale. How does it feel? Where do you feel that? Is it just above the hip? Pushing the knee down. Arm over your head. And looking at your thumb. One more big deep breath. As big as you can in this position. Whew. Last time on this side. When you're ready, 10 reps. Ain't nearly there. And release or hold. 9, 10, and release. Well done. Can you go a little bit further over? Shoulders down away from ears. Pushing your knee down. Arm over your head. Good. Excellent, well done. Water break. So moving onto the floor to work some abs. Good. Okay. So a lot of us, especially after pregnancy, but I was like this in my 20s anyway, do a loads of crunches. We get super strong in the upper core. The lower core, the most important part's all forgotten about. So connections can be lost, and then we can't really feel it when we are tensed up in the core, in the lower core. So we're going to focus on that. And it's usually a problem area as well amongst females. So rib cage stays tucked in. So you're just going to breathe through these exercises, but you're trying to keep your rib cage tucked in. Belly button down into spine. What I mean by this is I want you to flatten your back so you've got no curves in your lower back. Push against the floor with your abs, if that makes sense. Stay here, or try and lift your hips up ever so slightly whilst keeping your legs straight up in the air. And where it starts to burn, that's where you're strengthening and toning and you're rebuilding them connections. I want you to curve on the way up in the lower back and on the way down in the lower back. And you should start to feel that burn. You might feel it on the thighs as well, high up, that's your hip flexors. So you need these to be strong as well to have strong abs. 10, 9, as many as you can with that burn. Stop and start as much as you need to. 5, 4, 3, 2, one more. Good. Bring the knees in for a hug and roll side to side. Then we're going to come down into semi-supine position with the knees bent. And on an inhale, arms rise. Fill in the lungs completely and pause with full lungs before slowly exhaling through the mouth for a count of 4. These are relaxation breaths to help you sleep again. Fill the lungs, pause with full lungs. Slower exhale is the calming. Another 2 like that. These kickstart endorphins as well. One more. We tend to shallow breathe a lot when we're going through stress. And the shallow breathing makes us even more stressed, our body. So taking deep breaths like that really does calm the central nervous system. Getting you out of fight, flight. So legs straight up again, rib cage tucked in. Have a poke around below the belly button. Do you have tension there? It might be a lot of tension, might feel hard, or there might not be much. Get used to how it feels because that builds mind-muscle connection as well. Then I'm going to try and bring them hips up off the floor again for another 15. Coming down with control, curving all the way up and all the way down in the lower back, one vertebrae at a time, if that makes sense. Five, 4, is it burning? 3, 2, 1, and release. Well done. Bring in for a hug and roll, side to side. It's like a little back massage. And then back into semi-supine. Another 5 deep breaths. Inhale, arms rise for posture. And slow exhale. Inhale, fill the lungs completely, expanding the ribs. Pause with full lungs. For slowly exhaling. Another two. Good. Next, legs are up in tabletop, bent knees, arms out to the side. We're just going to move ever so slightly, lifting one hip off at a time for a mini window wiper. But I want you to make sure you're keeping the tension in the core. It's a little back stretch, hip area stretch as well. And see if you can feel that in your lower core. Trying to brace your lower core as much as you can. The 5, 4, 2. Good. And next, we're going to extend our legs as straight as we can. Bring them out to the side and in. Rib cage tucked in, belly button into spine. If you're not sure if your lower core's engaging and firing up, think about lifting them hips up off the floor. Use the muscles that are needed to do that. Or you can have a poke around. You can keep your fingers on your belly to make sure this tension stays there. 3, 2, 1. Good. Hug and roll side to side. From here, we'll do the deep breath, 5 deep breaths. Inhale. Pause with full lungs. Slow exhale. If you want to work on pelvic floor strength, on the inhale, relax the pelvic floor, push the belly out like you're sitting on the toilet, passing. On the exhale, you're bracing the core and holding in your pelvic floor like you don't want to pass anything. Inhale, relaxing, pushing the belly out. Exhale, holding everything in. This is naturally what your pelvic floor does anyway. Another 2. Inhale, relax, pushing the belly out like you're passing on the toilet. Exhale, holding everything in, bracing the core. 1 more. Excellent. I'm going to shift our hips over to the right, knees over to the left for spinal twist. Really good one. One of my favourites for stretching out that lower back, hip area, glutes, everywhere we get tight and keep tension and stress. So we're just going to settle into this position, get used to it first. Shoulder blades should be down on the mat to start, bending at the knee. Inhale, pushing the belly out, and we'll feel the stretch more. And the next exhale, just try and switch off them muscles. Stay here, or if you want to add more stretch to the lower body, you can go into a straighter leg. Again, shoulder on the mat though. Any muscles that are tensed up, just try and switch them off. Keep going through, checking in with your body. What muscles are switched on? Using your breath. The deeper your breaths, the more relaxation, and you'll get into these stretches and release tension more. I know some clients who are in this position 3 minutes before any tension's released. It can take a wee while. So allow yourself to feel that stretch, that gentle pull. If it's too much, just bend both knees and just dial it back a little bit, come out more of the stretch. It's a good one as well if you've got any existing back pain, so if you're able to get into it safely. Good. Bending both knees, taking your time, using the weight of the knees to come up in semi-supine. Pause here for a reset, and you can feel where you've been stretched, and that across your back feels great. Shift our hips over to the left, knees over to the right, arms out to the side. Settle in. How does this side feel? Just because you can do it on one side doesn't mean you can on the other. So you might not want to progress this stretch. If you do, extend that leg and hold on to the back of it with your arm. Use your deep breaths to relax. Relax your abs, relax your lower back. How does this side feel in comparison? Good. Bending at the same side your knees are faced. We'll come onto our bellies. For some gentle back bends. We have done a little bit of back bends with the cat-cow and puppy pose. So just settle in with your hips, make sure they're level. Trying to switch off the thighs, just relax, shoulders. We want to bring our elbows a little bit closer. We're not directly under our shoulders yet, but a little bit closer. And you'll start to feel that bend in the back, in the lower back. It's quite deep, this stretch, in the base of the back. This is, you wouldn't think, but this is actually one of the safest positions. But we don't do much of this unless we're on a sun lounger. Deep inhale. And the next exhale, sink further into the floor with your hips. Your spine's meant to be able to bend this way. Think of the crab walk when you're a child. If you want to feel more intensity to the stretch and work more on flexibility, bring them elbows in a little bit more so they're directly now under the shoulders. Chest proud, shoulders down away from ears. One more big deep breath. And final progression, stay here, or you can extend your arms out in front of you, squeezing your bum cheeks as you lift to protect your lower back. Shoulders down, you'll feel more of an intense stretch in your lower back. Shouldn't be painful. One deep breath. And release. Carefully, coming back down into the starting position. Feel the tension release in the lower back. And then we're going to go into child's pose, counter pose. So shifting the hips back first into that back bend to counteract. Helps with stiffness, agility, going from opposites. And then from here, I'm going to come into a seated position and practice any seated position that you find comfortable. Practice pranayama, relaxation, breath work. So if you don't want to practice the yogic breathing, feel free to do the Pilates, the relaxation that you were doing, which is inhale through the nose and a slow exhale through the mouth. If you want to practice the pranayama, which is relaxing to the central nervous system, helps you sleep, switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest. Follow me. So on the inhale, we're going to push our belly out. And as we do this, we're going to flare our ribs out and chest rises. And on the exhale, the chest falls, the rib cage goes back in, and the belly empties. So it's 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1 in those stages. These are the things I want you to concentrate on. Inhale through the nose. It's nice and warm in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue. Every time your mind wanders, just bring it back to the breath. It's the anchor of the mind. It keeps you in your present. When things become overwhelming and you need a minute, breath work is key. Notice how it feels on the inhale as your belly rises, then your ribs and then your chest. The coolness. And the warm exhale. Keep sitting tall. Notice how stretched you feel, hopefully, and warm. It's taking a moment for gratitude. Every breath is a gift. Listening to the rain and the calming. You can always control the breath. Namaste, I hope you sleep well tonight, and thanks for coming.